I gotta take a short intermission. When mom brings you food, yeah, you know it's gonna be a good install. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode. Today in this video, I'm finally gonna get started working on the Mini and making it faster. So, what are we doing today? Well, by the title, you guys already have an idea as to what's going on, but we're gonna be installing an intake on the Mini, and the intake is gonna be making that hood scoop more functional. So right now, one second, let me first pop the hood. Right now, the intake begins down here. So it pulls in air behind the grill, goes through there, through that tube, down there, and there's an opening underneath this air box, okay? And that's where all the air goes through, past the filter, into the intake, and then into the engine. Well, the intake that we're gonna be installing today is gonna be slightly different than this. So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be replacing this top piece along with this little piece up here. So this right here is a little piece of fiberglass that's just preventing the hood from getting too hot and say warming up. Now we're gonna be having an intake duct. So it's gonna be a big channel that's gonna push air from this hole right here down, and it's gonna have an opening right here. It's gonna be making the engine breathe better. It's gonna be making that hood scoop more functional, and it's gonna be making this car get more cold air into the engine. Alrighty, so this is all the stuff that came inside the kit for my intake. So it's a K&N filter that attaches into this tube, which goes in this box. It comes with instructions. This is that duct work that I was talking about. So this attaches on the hood of the top of my hood, I guess is what you call it. Yeah, it's got instructions. It's got clamps. You've got all the bolts and hardware you need to install all this on your car. It comes with a hose. What is this for? I think this is a vacuum line. And this is the main box that's going to be holding the intake cone right in here. So all the air is going to be directed inside of here. So this piece is going to redirect all the air that's on the outside of the car that's going over the hood right here into this little intake box. So all of that air is going to be rammed into here, and our cone is going to sit inside of there. And we've just got this tubing right here, the powder coated aluminum, and this little silicone elbow. This is what's going to be attaching all the intake stuff to our throttle body and to our mass airflow sensor. So this whole section right here is all going to be changed over. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to disconnect our negative ground for a battery, which I've already done in there. You can then go ahead and remove the airflow meter wire. So this is going to the mass airflow sensor. Next up, I'm going to be using a screwdriver to loosen up this little clamp right here that's securing the airflow meter up to the OEM intake piping. So all of this is going to get moved around. So I'm just going to loosen this up so we can move that around. Next up, I'm going to set that aside. Next up, we're going to take out the 4 bolts that are securing the top part of the intake box up to the bottom part. So you're going to be using a T30 Torx. There's just 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So with those out of the way, all that we're going to be doing with the intake box now is we're going to be lifting this up and out. So that's how this is held in. So there's like little grooves on the back side of this box that are holding the top part of it to the bottom part. So we're gonna lift it up and slide it out so we can take this out. So on the intake, we have the 4 screws removed, 1, 2, 3, and 4 in that little corner. We have the airflow meter disconnected. Now we're gonna have to take it off of the top of the intake box because we're gonna need that for our aftermarket system. So next up, we need to take out these 2 Torx bolts, one here, one here. Now I've got a Torx set, which comes in very handy, especially if you're working on German cars. German cars, I don't know why, they love using these damn Torx bolts. So if you guys don't have a set, I'll have a link for an entire master set from OTC in the description box. It's full lifetime warranty and everything. But we're just taking this out. So we're taking out the 2 screws on here because this needs to be attached to the box, the aftermarket box that we're gonna be installing. So with those 2 bolts removed, with this clamp loose, we can pull this up and out. So see that? And we can take all of this out. So this here is gonna be replaced. Now we're gonna be saving this airflow meter because we're gonna be using this in our new air system. So we're gonna take this off, leave that there because we're gonna need that. We're gonna take out the old filter for our intake. So this is the stock one. Actually, I think this is a Fram, but regardless, this needs to go. That's gone. And then with it like this, we can now go ahead and install our aftermarket system on top of here. So we can now go ahead and grab the top part for the intake box. We're gonna slide that over top. And if you can see back here, see these 3 tabs? We need to slide the 3 tabs on here into there for it to be secured in place. Turn the intake filter like that. And then our airflow meter that we had right here is actually gonna be attached like there on the side. And there's gonna be a direction, there's gonna be a little arrow on here pointing into the direction of which way the airflow goes. So it says airflow pointing that way. So we're gonna install it like this, and the connector's gonna be right there. Now before we go ahead and do that, because this is a K&N filter, we're gonna take that out, and we're gonna have to oil this before we go ahead and install it and use it on the car. So this kind of filter needs to be oiled, and it even says on here, oil before using. Now the oil does not come included with the kit. However, I'll have a link in the description box. If you guys want to say recharge your old K&N filter, or even if you buy a new one, I'll have a link to the stuff that you're gonna need in the description box on how to oil it. So I'm not gonna go into full detail on how to do this, but all that you're doing is you're gonna be using this, and you're gonna oil up each one of these veins at a time until the entire thing is completely lubricated. So you can see right there, see how the oil is like setting in? You're gonna wanna do that for the entire filter. So once you have the intake filter oiled up like this, you can see that it's now, I guess, a red color. You're gonna go ahead and grab this and stick it on the inside of the intake box. Like so. Slide that through. And then we're gonna install the airflow meter directly up to the filter. So I'm gonna first slide this over top on the box like that. And then if you see right here, this is the airflow meter. Now there's gonna be a rubber grommet, and this is used for the OEM intake to make sure that it's got a good seal. Now we don't need that, so we can take that off, put one of these clamps on, pull this through, like that, slide this clamp over top of it, and then with it like that, we can grab our airflow meter, install it on here like that, and then tighten that down. If you look on the side, you're gonna see one bolt here, and there's gonna be another one down here. These bolt up to the side of the box, and it's gonna hold this in place. Now, what that's also gonna do is give me enough room to put this elbow in here and connect it up to here for the piping onto the turbocharger. Now, on another note, I'm gonna have to trim down this coupler a little bit, because right now, when I attach this like that and like this, I'm pushing this piece too far to the right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna cut off about 1/2 inch of the silicone piping right here. Probably half of that, maybe somewhere along those lines. I'm just gonna use a pair of scissors to cut that, and then I'm gonna install it on the car. So that way I'm not gonna be putting as much stress on this piece. So now that I cut off about a good 1.5 inches on here, I'm gonna go ahead and mount this up. So this little coupler right there slides on the end, and then this little metal part slides into there. So you can move the little metal piece in or out so you get a nice fit. But there you go, that's essentially how this all works. Now there's 3 clamps, one here, and another one right here. I'm just gonna turn that up. So there's these 3 clamps that hold this coupler in place. So just grab your screwdriver, tighten that up. Oop. One, tighten this up, and then tighten this up. So with the intake attached to the engine now done, we need to attach the ram air scoop that attaches to the hood and replaces that fiberglass piece up top. So the first thing we need to do is remove each one of these 4 tabs that are securing this piece in. And you just take it out with a Phillips head screwdriver. It's a little plastic screwdriver inside of a little bracket. Once you take it out, you should be able to take it out like that. There's one, do the same thing for the other 3. Once you take them all out, you should just be able to pull this out and set that aside. Now to attach this ram air scoop on the hood, when this comes from the manufacturer, there's gonna be 6 bolts that are holding the top piece, this right here, in place to the bottom part of the frame, like that. So there's 6 screws you have to take out, and once you take those out, we're gonna attach this frame onto the car first, and then this top piece. Now before we go ahead and install the ram air on the car, we need to take out the little vent that's connected up there on the hood. Now on the back side of it, there's gonna be 2 Phillips head screws. one here, and then a plastic tab in the middle that you just push forward. Now once you do that, you should be able to take out the entire clip out of the way. And then once you have it removed, there's not gonna be this honeycomb anymore. This is all gonna be gone, and it's gonna allow all of the air that's coming through here, through the front of the car, to be entered into the hood. So what just went down is I removed the little hood scoop and the little grate behind it. So the way that it worked is there were 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, attached to the back side of the scoop. And this is gonna allow me to put our intake right up top in there without any issues. So now comes mounting up the little V part right here for the ram air. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna line up the V and use 2 of the tabs that were holding up that mesh cover before. We're gonna install the 2 right here first, and then we're gonna go ahead and install the rest of it from there. But we're gonna start off with these ones. So 2 of those tabs, the 1, 2 right there, I pushed into the V part right here of the frame, and I'm just gonna align it and then push those into the hood. Now when you're doing this, you wanna see if you can align it so that the other holes right there are gonna be aligned up so we can put the other push pins in there as well. So once you push each one of those little pins in, you're gonna screw in the top part of the clip. So that's mounted, and then you're gonna do the same thing for this side. So you're just pushing it in, and then the little screw part of it, you're gonna push and insert into that little clip, like that. And then with the screwdriver, fully insert it so it holds it in place. Now with it like this, you can see that we've got the other tab right here aligned up, so we can install the other screw through there, and we have the same thing for this side. Now right now we only have the 2 inside ones mounted up. Now we're not gonna install these ones quite yet. We're gonna first install this piece right here over top so that we get the V in the proper shape so that the bolts can go through both sides. So there's gonna be 6 screws that are just gonna hold it up like that. And once it's aligned like that, once you have all 6 screws in, it's gonna have the proper shape for us to put in the other 2 clips on the sides. So with the included Allen wrench, you're gonna go ahead and install each one of these 6 bolts. So it's gonna be a bolt and washer for each one of them. So just put them in by hand. So just so it's like, hand tight, it's in there. Do that for all 6. And then once you have them all in and all aligned, you're then gonna go ahead and tighten them up for good. So with all 6 bolts essentially in there, kind of snug, you're gonna go in there afterwards and tighten them all up so that the top piece is gonna be attached to the V part, which is the frame. Now last but not least, we're gonna go ahead and install the other 2 little push pin clips up top here. There's one. And then you tighten it up with your screwdriver. And once you have that one in, we're gonna continue on to the last one, which is over here. So the same thing, grab your little push pin clip, slide it in there, and then go ahead and turn it and tighten it down using your Phillips head screwdriver. Now last but not least, before we complete this DIY, we need to change out this little vacuum hose right here for this hose right here. Now this hose is flexible and we can move it in any direction we want. Because we now have the ram air attached to the hood, we can't have this attached here going over top of this intake tube because there's not enough room. So what we have to do is we have to disconnect this vacuum hose that's leading to the brake booster. Now, I already disconnected this side. Now it's literally just push in and the thing comes out. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to make more vacuum. So right here we have the vacuum line. We're gonna attach it to this nipple here. We're gonna turn it to the right, attach it on there, and then attach it down there on that end. So if you can see that little line right there, that's our hose that we attached onto the brake booster. We're gonna have to hook up that hose up to the top of the nipple right there, right by the valve cover, and that's gonna make it so our brakes work. So from down there, we ran the vacuum line from the brake booster, underneath the intake, and up right here over top of the valve cover. Now we're gonna have to cut off this extra bit right here because they include a certain amount that we don't need. So they're gonna have extra. So say you wanna run this a different way, you can do whatever way you want. I'm gonna be trimming off about 1 foot of this. So I'm gonna be grabbing my scissors, trimming off an appropriate amount. So let's say right there, trim that off. Put that away, and I'm just gonna slide this over top of the nipple. Now at this point, the only thing left to do is really install the hood scoop back onto the car. Now I'm not gonna quite yet do that because I kinda wanna change the color of this maybe to a black. And I also want to paint up this area back here, because with the hood scoop installed like that, you can see those little, I don't really know what you call it, but you see this little dirty mark on the hood. So I want to clean this up. I'm not sure what it is. I don't think I can actually clean it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna probably go ahead and paint this little area or plasti dip it or something, just so that when I install this back on the car, it's not noticeable. Now I can't really tell you if there's a huge difference in performance on the car because of the intake, only because I can't exactly drive the car. What am I missing? Wheels and tires. The reason why they're gone is because I sold them because I was gonna be like, okay, I want new wheels and tires and I don't need the old ones that were essentially slicks because they were worn out. So I found some guy that wanted to buy them. He bought them and they're gone. Now what this means is, guess what? New wheels and tires. So stay tuned, guys. I'm gonna have new wheels and tires on the way, I guarantee it. And once I get them on the car, once I get everything good to go and get the car drivable, I'll definitely take this car for a spin. Now, I remember before when you put your foot down, you could feel it, but I wanna see if you can feel it even more. Now, if you guys have an intake on your car like this, if you wanna get more power out of it, you're gonna need to tune the engine so that the ECU is gonna know how to use all that extra air that it's getting. So all the air that was initially just going through this little area right here, you're now gonna be getting more right through the intake of the hood. So if you guys have any questions regarding the video, throw it down in the comment section below and I'd be happy to help. Again, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. So off camera, I went ahead and painted the underside of the hood. So just this little section right here that would have been visible even with the hood scoop on. So it was a pepper white, and with the hood scoop on top of it, you could still see the pepper white underneath. So I painted that up so that from here and all the way through to the back where the intake is for the ram air, that's all black and it's all one uniform color.